Yeah, wait, are we starting?
Yeah, I think we've started because I just gave the intro.
Oh shit. Yeah, hi, I'm Ariadne, and I like games, I guess.
What? Okay. Starting again.
Okay.
We know how to talk. No,
We
don't.
sure
It's
do.
fine keeping this in. I'm Kyra, and I like, games. Yeah.
And I don't know what I'm called anymore.
You
Oh,
already
for
introduced
fuck's sake.
yourself, and it was fine.
Okay, good. Hi. So, today we're talking about like the hottest newish. I mean, since when has that been around? Like 2014?
The coolest new thing from 2015/16 VR.
Yes, VR.
So,
Both Kai and I have had some experiences regarding VR, and I guess we should talk about them because this is a video game podcast and all that sort of jazz.
yeah, I think you should go first because I own technically a VR headset, but I had to send it away because it broke.
Did you? Oh, is that what you recently sent off by mail that you told me about?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure hope it comes back soon and in one piece.
Well, everything's been very good with the courier and the seller and stuff, so I trust I will be receiving a non-faulty one shortly.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I do not have a VR headset. I don't have that kind of money. I mean, I might have had it after Christmas, but it's not a sensible thing to spend money on right now. However, during an extended 2-week LAN party, I played a bunch of VR games, like IRL, actually, like for real.
Yeah.
I played Beat Saber, which was quite fun.
I want to try
Good,
that one.
very good exercise and shit. I played a little bit of Thumper VR, though I didn't really see the appeal of that one, and I couldn't get hold of the controls. So
I feel like that's good if you want to if you have a sense of rhythm and also are not already traumatized enough.
well, the thing is though about Thumper, it very vividly brings something to mind. It brings to mind the beginning of Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis. Do you see what I mean? Well,
You're a bug
Yeah, you're a bug.
in it.
And you kind of wake up as a bug, and then you go down a rail,
And it's
like
scary.
just like poor Gregor Samsa goes down the rail of life, but does not actually go down a literal rail. He misses his morning train by virtue of being a bug. It's
that wouldn't help.
it's a very very clever inversion of the trope of transforming into a bug, and also we don't actually get to see what Gregor Samsa looked like in this game. Maybe he was also a giant like mutant face. I don't know.
Thumper, the official game adaptation of Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis, which I hope is the name of that novel. I've already forgotten.
Yes, it's The Metamorphosis, but it's not actually a novel. It's a short story of sorts. It's got like only 40 pages or so. But yeah.
VR is expensive. And as you'll hear from my plug at the end of this, I'm an artist. And what else is expensive is graphics tablets. And I'm a 2D artist and a 3D artist. And recently, because of the requirements of like modern graphics engines, my workflow has kind of gotten sculpting-ish already. So I thought, well, excuse me, I can get a minimum £250 display tablet, which will be laggy and probably faulty like the one I have now. Or I can get a VR headset for £200, which I will be able to use for recreation occasionally, as well as sculpting. And drawing in 2D as well.
Oh man, sculpting. Now that reminds me of a poem. This this is where you find out that this is basically Family Guy. Just everything reminds me of something. There's this poem by Rainer Maria Rilke. Very interesting.
I haven't watched a single full episode of Family Guy, so I've seen like clips of it, and they all just disgusted me. So
yeah, let's not talk about Family Guy.
I don't actually know anything about the show.
This podcast is about something way better. It's about games. It's about games.
It's about games, But no, for real, like, even if you're dunking on Family Guy, I won't get it. It will go straight over my head. I've managed to avoid it to that extent.
That's the utopian mind piece I wish I was in.
My perfect post-scarcity mind palace, which is just I'm incredibly mentally ill, but I haven't seen much Family Guy, so it balances out.
It sure does.
So yeah, it was. I got it.
But anyway, sorry.
You were going to say something, so you go.
Yes, there's a very important poem by Rainer Maria Rilke, who was a German poet. Who was dressed like a girl by his mum. We don't actually know if he was actually trans or if that was just like the cruel whims of a mother. But either way, he made a poem called Archaic Torso of Apollo about a sculpture. And it fucking ends with the words, out of fucking nowhere, you have to change your life. It just, out of nowhere, it tells you that you have to change your life. And I'm like... Don't judge me, Rilke.
Donate to our Patreons. So I got the headset, and there was something weird with it, which I initially assumed was software. So I got some stuff to test it out. Mm-hmm. I got VR chat and some other stuff which I didn't really get to try, and I got Google Earth VR, which I did get to try, and I obviously I didn't want to commit to any projects with a faulty piece of equipment. And I played mostly VR chat and Google Earth VR, which is a very good way to make yourself very sick.
Oh dear.
Because you can make it so your body in VR is either very big relative to the Earth, like appropriately big to not make it feel like you're flying through space, or you can be a glutton for punishment like me and make yourself human scale.
Well,
and
that actually
fly very quickly.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that actually reminds me of another thing I did in VR during that 2-week LAN party I was at. Because obviously, I am a gamer. I attend LAN parties at least once per week. And as such, during that LAN party, I actually played a video that was in 360 degrees and in VR. That my one of my friends had made, and that I did some like voice work for, and it was quite interesting because it was a VR art piece of sorts, in which you kept changing size. It's very. I was able to stomach it, but other people would probably feel really fucking sick by it because the size changes. You're like in the middle of the thing all of a sudden. And
that's one of the interesting things about VR chat, in that you get different avatars, and they can be any size pretty much. There might be limits, I don't know, but you change height with the avatar when you don it.
Oh yeah, I've played a little bit of VR chat without a VR headset, unfortunately.
It's like being in an armpit.
Yeah.
But psychologically,
when
you don't have an armpit fetish.
No.
I need to specify that this is going on the internet. People need context.
Okay. Completely lost my train of thought. No, yeah. VR chat is kind of the equivalent of a random board on 4chan sometimes.
Yeah, like some of it's... I found some okay places, but there's also a lot of people coming too close to you and going, are you a girl?
Oh, no.
In like a 13-year-old boy voice in an accent you don't recognize.
Oh. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of Franz Kafka's seminal unfinished novel, The Castle, in which the main character, a man named K, is absolutely loathed by the entire population of a large town.
Oh,
Like
me.
they just, yeah, exactly. I feel like that's kind of the experience of going into VR chat, as a trans person. Anyway, just like
I managed to mostly avoid people by only going to the very nerdiest of worlds. Like, I was looking for a skin, which I liked. And, there's a lot... there's not like a search. But I did eventually find a Gundam world with just a bunch of Gundam skins in it.
Gundam.
So I went... Yes. Mobile Suit Gundam. Would seminal be the word? Yeah. It's the first real robot genre piece of sci-fi, which is to say the giant robots that people pilot in it, the mecha, the mobile suits, are vehicles with components and mechanical tolerances, and they are manufactured, and they break, and they have to be repaired. And sometimes you have to ship them to the moon to repair them, because that's the only place with a manufacturing facility with the tools
Kai.
that are up to spec with the armor of your mobile suit, yeah?
Kai, let me quickly interrupt you. Does this have anything to do with video games?
Well, in VR chat, there was the Gundam world, and I got a couple of cool skins there. I got the Kshatriya, which is from Gundam Unicorn, which is one of the very good.
Well, Kai, that's really all of the proof I needed. Gundams are in video games. That means This is still a video game podcast. We're still on track. Please keep talking about Gundam. It really interests me.
In fact, I think some of the other skins I had were probably ripped straight from the PS3 game by From Software, who are better known for their work on Dark Souls and Bloodborne and Armored Core. But that game never
Did you just
made
say
it over
Omicron?
here. No, Armored Core.
Okay, good.
No. Armored Core was... Not Armored Core. Omicron was made by a 8-bit Euro-jank computer musician with delusions of grandeur. Who shall not be named.
That sounds like
Lest
at
we
least...
summon him.
That sounds like at least a dozen authors I know. From my huge library of books, which I have and spend a lot of time with, but trust me, not as much time as I do gaming.
Yeah, well, jokes aside, I spend a lot of time playing video games because
they shut brain off.
Yeah, or engage brain.
Oh, yeah.
Which is also because normally I'm in this kind of hellscape in between those two states.
Yeah.
Or like going between them very rapidly with no conscious control. That pause was pretty pregnant, but I may actually extend it when I edit this.
Nice.
Very nice. I want to make people think their podcast app has crashed, which happens to me for real all the time.
Good, very good. Oh, on the subject of VR chat, though, you know, It reminds me a little bit of the book by Paul Auster called The Land of Lost Things, because everything is confusing, nothing lasts at all, people are all assholes that act completely in their self-interest, and it's a postmodernist fucking hellscape that you can still somewhat exist in. Many people do, but yeah.
I'm gonna real quick turn potatoes off.
Okay, do that.
At least check them. You can talk or not. It doesn't matter.
So, hi. It's time for Rick to carry this gosh darn podcast, because Kyra needs sustenance, like every human being. Though honestly, sometimes I am not convinced that she is not in fact a robot. Well, one thing though I have to definitely talk about VR is that VR is really not that new a thing. There have been a lot of people that have conceptualized.
Oh, let me go. I'm gonna drain the potatoes to eat, but we can leave the recording going because it'll just be a big empty void and I'll know what to cut out.
Okay.
So BRB.
Okie doke.
Hi, I'm kind of back. I just got really hungry.
Oh, understandably so. It is prime dinner time, and when you're gaming like you and me all the time, you sure need that sustenance. Although I'm wondering just right now, does it say something about us that we do not consume the typical game of food of Doritos with dip while we game and while we talk about video games?
I think it's because Doritos are expensive. They have wheat flour on them. And then all gluten gives me a rash on the inside.
Well, I don't know if that's an excuse for a gamer. It probably is. It's a good thing that we're still doing this podcast, because I have completely forgotten where we're going with this.
Well,
Well, we were talking about VR stuff.
yeah, I was gonna continue. I was gonna talk about the selection of skins.
Yes.
The ones I saved for my own use were all from Unicorn, which is a Gundam series that's almost. I want to say it's. It's a direct, more or less direct continuation of the first series of sort of shows and movies from the 70s and 80s. And it deals with there's a massive cover-up and war crimes and stuff. It's cool. The Gundams in it are absolutely ridiculous because there's a magical realism element to Gundam, which, of course, being written as a reflection of various military-industrial complexes, the militaries within Gundam weaponize, specifically hyper empathetic psychic abilities that some of the pilots have. Excuse me, I'm trying to eat without making this too much of a disgusting experience for everyone.
Oh, I understand. You know, I can't help but wonder sometimes, what would Don Quixote, the book by Miguel de Cervantes, have been like if the Count Don Quixote had instead Red Gundam. Well, not Red. I think it was a TV series from the get-go, right?
Unicorn was based on a novel, but the original series was on television.
Okay, yeah. What if Don Quixote had consumed Gundam instead of all of those novels about brave knights and all of that stuff? Would he still have thrown rocks at people?
Refresh my memory. How stupid is Don Quixote?
He is probably the peak of stupid.
Okay.
Only surpassed in his idiocy by his partner, what's his name? Don Quixote, Sancho Panza. Sancho Panza. Only surpassed in idiocy by his companion, Sancho Panza.
He would probably agree with the humorously named villain Full Frontal, who is kind of he's made himself in the image of the prior military leader of the more overtly objectionable faction in Gundam, which is called Zeon. He's sort of the original leader who he's modelled himself after, who was called Shah Aznable, was kind of a straight-up crazy dude. He was actually the son of the movement's namesake, who was murdered by the current royal family of Zeon, which shows you how much they actually care about Zeon's and Daikun's teachings. But yeah, so the murdered Zeon's son joins Zeon and becomes this ace pilot. And he kind of believes in what his dad said, but kind of just wants to murder the people who murdered his dad. And also Earth, all of it.
So basically he's running against windmills as though they were giants.
Yeah, and then later on after he vanishes in a magical green psychic explosion, while his nemesis, Amuro Ray, the very first Gundam pilot, joins together with all the soldiers at the scene and all the people on Earth. All of their hopes and dreams help him deflect the trajectory of an asteroid which would have otherwise been an extinction event.
Wow.
Because it's not just several gigatons of iron, it's also full of nukes, which are illegal in Gundam. So they had a sort of dumping ground. So yeah, it would have fucked the Earth right up. But his self-sacrifice and all the sacrifice of the soldiers sort of resonated with their psychic power boosting cockpit hardware and made some kind of weird bullshit happen. But anyway, the later dude, Full Frontal, kind of he's just a bit of a boring fascist. He doesn't want to blow up the Earth for some reason he hasn't even really thought about, like Shah. He wants a co-prosperity sphere where the space colonies all join together to economically disadvantage Earth.
You know what I really love right now? The fact that one of my neighbors is currently shoveling snow, and it's audible in the entire apartment, and will probably show up on this recording. But
I can't hear it.
Okay,
Sorry,
good.
It's not real.
It's not real. I'm imagining it. Imaginary things. That's just like VR, virtual reality. Virtual reality, a reality that does not exist.
Yeah.
And there is someone who is very, very proficient at creating realities that do not exist, even in their respective universe. Namely, that was the Czechoslovakian writer Stanislav Lem. And there is one book that VR especially brings VR to mind, or what I assume will be the future of VR, namely the Futurological Congress, which starts off with some jerk off, I don't remember his name, going to a futurological congress, and from there, transcending into a spiral of weird anecdotes that take him through many, many different worlds, some of which extremely modern and extremely scientific, extremely advanced. Others of which are complete ruin and extremely dismal places. And finally, in the end, he wakes up in a sewer, surrounded by rats and stunk, and realizes that all of that was just like a fucking chemical dream induced by a drug from a terrorist attack on the Futurological Congress. And basically every single one of these...
That's why you need to use VR sober.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, in this case, the drug is VR. The drug is VR, and it stacks. As in, like, you take the first drug, you're in one place. Then you take the second drug, you're suddenly in another place. Then you take a third drug, you're suddenly in another place. And then in the end, you realize that all of those drugs didn't exist, and the world was always a shithole. So... I think that we're gonna have, like, VR headsets within VR headsets very soon. Just, like, you put on a VR headset, and eventually that virtual reality just isn't gonna be enough anymore. You'll need to put on a second one. And maybe eventually we'll even do it with chemicals instead of cool 90 frames per second gyroscopic devices.
Yeah, I mean, there's already... displays within VR. I took a mirror selfie while wearing a Nobel Gundam skin, recreational mobile suit manufactured in Neo, Sweden, and the mirror is technically a display because that's how they work in game engines.
Oh,
they're like a virtual display.
Wow, we're already there. Holy shit!
You could do it. It would just be awful. But the device in-game, the camera, has a display on it as well that you use to actually take the screenshots. And so yeah, now that you could do that, it would be bad and useless.
I don't think it would be bad and useless. I think it's the future.
I mean, there's also like super hot VR. You're in VR when you're doing the super hot parts. Oh, and also, not to step out of my lane and stop talking about games, but talk of reality has reminded me of books by the late Ian M. Banks that I read. It's a far future. One of the series he writes concerns the culture, which is a far future culture consisting of many aliens and humans, and the technology is like insane. Like, there is physical encryption, so you can encrypt an object so it is the same shape but it's got like a weird rainbow surface and doesn't work. And the ships are basically deities, like the larger ships. They have computer brains made of, like, basically a exotic substance that is specifically for computing, and they have engines that are similarly made from, like stuff that has to be made in, like, a solar furnace, because it's a type of matter for engines. And they can, like, change what matter does at will, and one of the things these ships do for fun is they create virtual reality environments inside their heads. But it's not like, haha, I'm a chef, or haha, I'm military gun shoot man, I'm gun McCard shoot. They just like make up new physical constants.
Oh.
Yeah. So they're like, what if there was a force called Blarf, and it makes things rotate according to this algorithm? What sort of universe would that generate? And the like physical being readable translation of the activity is the infinite fun, which is just so the ships and nerds, and I love them.
Does this have anything to do with gun? Why did I say gun? Games.
Well, not directly, but one of the cool things about this one specific world, the only one in VR chat that I care about, is the entire the level is a I believe it's the Nail which is a space battleship from Gundam, and there's effectively a life-size diorama of mobile suits fighting around the ship. And the part that you walk on is a launch rail for mobile suits and vehicles, where basically they shoot them off in a sort of gun, so they're already at full speed when they leave the ship to save fuel. That's why they're called Gundams. They're called Gundams, well, because they usually armoured with a substance called Gundarium, which is a metamaterial composed of metallic and ceramic elements that can only be forged in low-gravity environments like the moon. But it's much stronger than things like... well, just in anything else, really. But most mobile suits are made of steel or titanium.
The other day you told me something very interesting regarding VR chat. Namely that, just to check as an aside, should we, tell people that we're trans in this?
We already did.
Oh, okay, good. Well...
remember this fun bit? Are you a girl?
I don't think that people can understand any of what you're saying when you're this close to the mic, Kai. What I was gonna say is, the other day you told me something interesting about VR chat, namely that it helps you cope a little bit with your dysphoria.
Yeah, because you can put a body on that's not the one that's been tainted with testosterone for 23 years.
And it's you even see your body, and you can move your hands and your limbs and such if you have full motion tracking.
Hey, so quick editor's note from Kyra. There was a bit here which we just decided not to include. We both agreed that was what was best. So, it's just gonna skip some of it, you know? Well, that's this bit done. Now back to podcast.
I've completely lost my train of thought yet again.
I wish, I hope now that anime is getting bigger in the West, I hope that From Software gets the Gundam license again and makes another Gundam game which actually gets released here, and hopefully on not a PlayStation console. Because they made a fucking Gundam game, and they make Armored Core, so they know, They know, Ariadne. They know! And there's... I think all the Gundam games are strategy games or weird RPGs, and or just there was a fighting game on the PS1 which was alright.
That's the one that the funny man on YouTube did the big Zam with, isn't it?
Yeah. Big Zam is good in that game because it's twice the size of the other characters and way too slow to be viable, and you need to do a move to turn it around because it's so unwieldy.
Well, it's big and it goes Zam. That's why it's Big Zam.
It's actually just Xeon has a completely insane naming scheme. Like some of them are like the Zulu mobile suit, which is like a Zaku. Like Zaku means nothing. I don't think Zaku means anything. But like the Zulus, that's just a tribe. That's fine. And they were like, they had a strong warrior tradition. That makes sense to name a fighting machine after them. But then there's a mobile suit series that are just like the GOG, which might be a slur. It sounds like a slur. But then there's the High GOG. Then there's Dom, which is just a guy's name. But then after that they made the Rick Dom. There's Zeong. And there's Neo Zeong. Yeah?
Zeong?
Zeong.
Oh.
Yeah. There's the, let me think, what else is there? There's the Hyog, I think.
Oh, the Hyog. I didn't know that. Of course, no, that was Sion. A very good friend of ours, of mine. I'm not sure if she's your friend too. Samantha told me to watch like Gundam 0800. 0080, right? 08?
Yeah.
0080. War in the Pocket, and it starts off with Hyog.
Yeah, I don't. Oh no, those are I think one of them. I know there's a Zagok in there, which is another good name that makes sense, and is derived from a language presumably. But yeah, like Big Zam is just. It's Big Zam. It's big and it's Zam. I think it's literally defeated because like. It has like a force field generator, which it makes it hard to hurt, and then like they just like trick the dude or something stupid like that, and then the Gundam just fucking Amuro just jumps up and stabs the cockpit. All the Xeon super weapons get way better like as time goes on. Big Zam kind of fucking sucked. It's just like a gun on a pair of legs. Well, several guns. Several guns. There's also Efreet, which is like a really bad re-Romanization of how Ifrit is presumably written in Japanese. And again, that one makes sense, but a lot of these just aren't names. There's the Ak guy. Yeah? That's the one that looks like it's got a massive head.
Bullshit language reminds me, though, that bullshit language is like a huge thing in a lot of literature.
It is.
There's like Brave New World with all of the new words in the vocabulary. Then there's 1984, obviously, which everyone knows about. And Clockwork Orange with Natsat.
I hate it in all of its forms.
I hate it too. I had it with I admit I used to be in a really shitty headspace, and I have a really shitty taste. I really used to love like dystopian novels, and at one point after a how do you say calculated hospital visit. I had the book with me and I read it in one sitting, and it sure was a thing. The language is interesting, I guess. It
definitely. I think, for all its flaws, we can say without quarter that it existed.
Yeah, it existed indeed. And it's passed some time, I guess, while it was lying in a hospital bed.
It filled the vector that is time, presumably, provided it exists.
Honestly,
It might just be the sequence of events occurring, but which is a scientifically distinct thing from time itself being a thing.
Yeah, that's true.
I hate that time might not be a thing, but it will definitely kill me.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about that whole thing, isn't it? The fact that time as we perceive it and time as we measure it is just a result of the way our brain works. But at the same time, we use time to measure a lot of things. A lot of like things we deem objective, such as...
And all the measurements are wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Because
And
they're
they get
based on human perception.
And they get more wrong depending on gravity and how fast you're going.
Yeah.
Because going faster also functionally makes you heavier, which is cool. I'm glad our universe was fucking developed by Bethesda.
Oh, wow. That was a great video game joke, Kai. Thank you for reminding me what this podcast is about.
Do you know what would be good?
What would be good, Kai?
If any writers worked at that company. Like, one. You just need one. Because you need also more than one dungeon designer. And something you need less of is programmers who work there. And something you need more of is id Software handling that. Did you know the Elder Scrolls 6, which is coming out in like 2028, is going to run on the same engine as Fallout motherfucking 76?
Yeah, I did know about that. But speaking of Bethesda, I don't think we can like not talk about Bethesda without talking about Skyrim, and of course to refocus ourselves. Kai, I know this isn't a pleasant topic of conversation, but we have a topic here that we have to adhere to sometimes.
I don't know. I can check. I can probably find out how long I fucking wasted on Skyrim.
Oh no.
Because my Windows has an Xbox app, Windows 10.
Did you ever play Skyrim VR, which is what I was about to talk about?
I was thinking of pirating it. It doesn't seem worth it. I've paid for that game twice.
What? Oh.
So I had it on... Well, I didn't actually pay it for the Xbox 360, but I did own it, so fuck off. And also, I had it on PC, and I have a lot of hours in it in PC. And the thing is, it's really big, and it's really spread out, so it takes you a long time to realise that it's shite. Okay, I only have 20 hours on PC, that's still too much.
Yeah, that is too much. That's like almost a day that you lost there. Like a day plus a good chunk of the night.
Yeah.
But either way,
Anyway, let me look, because it will be in my history somewhere. No, I'm not going to rate the fucking Xbox app. Idiot. What does Microsoft think it's done to earn a review? Activity feed. This should be empty. I haven't had my Xbox 360 in literally years. Yeah. Okay, here we are. Halo Reach. Far Cry. Hey! Remember Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon? Did you ever play that? That was cool.
Oh, I heard of it. Never played it, though.
Yeah, it was like if Far Cry was interesting. And good. So, I can't... It doesn't have the hours, but there's... Of however many achievements I've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10... Oh god, 42 achievements.
Oh no, that's entirely too many achievements.
And it's over half of them, and I wasn't trying to do a single one. These all happened incidentally.
Oh no.
As a result of natural play. I know it was well over 100. It was probably over 200 hours. God, it really didn't track my time. That's weird. Fuck is... Xbox is weird. That's like real basic, I would have thought.
Hold on, I just quickly have to look at something over here.
That's cool.
What is his name? Oh, yes. You know, Skyrim is basically an Adalbert Stifter novel. In that, you start reading it, there's a description of a landscape, and you think like, oh, that's cool. There's stuff gonna be happening in that landscape. And then you're on page 40, the landscape is still being described, and you're like, okay, I see. Well, this is very lush and beautiful, and like, I'm sure that if you installed a few mods to it, it would be quite nice. But
yeah.
Where's the content? Where's the main story? What can I do?
There's the thing. The difference there is that there's writing in that book.
I'll have you know that Skyrim contains over 300 pages, A4 pages of writing in books.
And, like, most of them are... sorry. My frail physiological form is having some kind of miasma. I don't know words anymore. My point is, a lot of those are from Morrowind, which is the last game where they had writers and stuff.
Wait, really?
Yeah, like a bunch of those
fucking
books are
took them from Morrowind?
And like there was some writing in Oblivion, and a bunch of them are from that. Heck, I think some of them are from fucking Daggerfall. Which, thankfully, ran on a different engine to the one they're using now. Because imagine that. Have you seen Daggerfall?
I have seen Daggerfall. It's like,
it looks
work.
like...
It looks worse than Doom.
It looks like people... Well, that's because it's a full 3D game that came out at the same time as Doom.
Yeah.
Doom used tricks, and Daggerfall just had a 3D engine, which is why it looks like it's being assembled from crackers real time by a team of chimps.
God, that would be a height of comedy, the fact if like Bethesda had literally used the same engine since its inception.
It would be more interesting because the thing with the first two Elder Scrolls games is that even though the maps are pretty empty, they are like way bigger. And the population, like the size and population density of the first two Elder Scrolls games is comparable to like an actual country in real life. Of that era, like of a sort of pre-industrial era where cities are still really small and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a lot more sandboxy, and you can just fucking ruin the game for yourself. Which is a level of freedom that I appreciate. Like, honestly, I am going to make something to usurp the Elder Scrolls. Because, frankly, people deserve a better first-person sandbox RPG to play. And one of the things I'm going to do is there's going to be a gameplay options menu, and one of the options is turn off essential NPCs. So you can kill people and fuck the game up for yourself just like the good old days.
How about this, though? What if Bethesda was still using the same engine they used for their seminal game, Home Alone, for the Nintendo Entertainment System?
Wouldn't their seminal game be like Madden? Well, while they didn't actually put it out themselves, EA did steal a lot of the work they did on it. So it is mostly Bethesda's game.
Well,
imagine for a second, The Elder Scrolls 6 in an engine for
American football?
Well, not just that. I'm trying to find the specific. Yeah, an engine from 1993.
Well, the thing is...
Oh no, it was known as John Madden Football